Hello guys and gals, me Mudahar, and today we're going to be diving into a pretty depraved scam, ladies and gentlemen. Now I know a couple, I would say a month or two ago, I looked at one of the darkest rabbit holes on YouTube, but I think this is probably the most evil scam that I've ever seen, period. Now this is something that's centralized on TikTok, but to understand just what's going on, ladies and gentlemen, this is a scam that's not as clear-cut as one would imagine. So let me just get right into the nitty-gritty of it. So obviously, some of you may know one of the longest running conflicts in the world, which is the Syrian civil war. It's a civil war that's been happening since 2011 amongst numerous insurgents, governmental agencies, and proxy agencies around. And it really shows no sign of actually stopping. Tons of people have been displaced, tons of actual infrastructure in parts of the country are completely gone, and it's, again, a war that has had so many peace talks that you could make an entire season of YouTube videos on it, but there is no sign of it actually stopping. Because of the Syrian civil war, a lot of people have been displaced, and a lot of people are living in refugee camps. So of course, TikTok has allowed tons of people, like many social media platforms, to live stream themselves. Now it seems as though a few people from these actual displaced camps are now live streaming, actually requesting money, begging for it on the internet. And in some of these videos, in order to garner sympathy, you actually have what appears to be children with IV drips allegedly connected to them, and the same parent or multiple other people constantly begging for money. So let's go over a few videos over here. Now this one comes from WeClan79, which is a channel that was rather interesting for me because it was the one that constantly kept on popping up. But of course, if you look closely into this video, alright, this is some archives from the actual community. You've got people basically begging for money and asking for some form of help, gifts on TikTok, something because of these children that have been busted, because of these children that are sick. Now, of course, in other capacities, you also have the same children, the same or different parents in this case, just standing over there, begging and asking for prayers with, again, IV drips connected. Again, the same framework exists no matter what. You have the parent asking for money, and you have one child who's just sort of laying there with, again, an alleged IV drip connected. Then, of course, you also have children laying over there with IV drips constantly connected again, and the same parent asking for money. So, of course, in one case, if you saw one person doing this, it would be, okay, maybe this is somebody who desperately needs money. Where it starts to get really weird is when you look at the actual channel name. So, for instance, this one is Fam Kwan, all right? So you see this person standing over here with this exact same brick wall. Now, again, in this other screenshot that I have, where you have WeClan79, so a totally different channel, with the same person, it seems, the same background, and the same kid with IV drips. The point is, all right, people jump in. At this point, they have around 400-something live viewers, and people are constantly sending them roses, gifts, some form of in-app purchases to this user account. So, of course, it seems as if these are looped videos, or just pre-recorded videos where the person is just sitting there begging for money, occasionally looking at the chat, making vague references. And then, of course, people are just sending in money because they believe that these children are actually really harmed, or these children need this money in order to survive, okay? Because they are medically afflicted with something terrible. It gets even worse because you find other channels that are significantly larger with around, like 198,000 something likes, and it appears like 77.8 thousand live viewers, right? Of course, different channels, you got Mish89 something something, but of course, if you look really carefully over here, it's the same dad we saw last time on the WeClan, all right? And of course, people here on TikTok are exposing it. You have one child, IV drip, and of course, just asking for money constantly. Of course, it even gets further because you'll have other parents as well, too, doing the same thing. It's always the dad, one sick child, and of course, the begging for money, all right? That's pretty much what it comes down to. Again, here's another video of the same type of scammers. You've got one kid, IV bag over here, and of course, the dad over here just begging and praying like, thank you, Allah, please help us. Please give us some blessings. That's pretty much what you got going on. And of course, these channels all seem to be working. At the end of the day, these scams wouldn't be happening if there wasn't actual money being exchanged. So the reason I referenced the Syrian civil war earlier was because that was the one commonality I found when looking into this. I thought maybe it was one scammer, but then when it came out to be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 scammers, it was wild. Now you might be like, Muda, you're pretty heavy-handed on the scammer thing. How can you prove it? Well, the reality of it is that when you look at what's going on and what's actually behind the scenes, these parents and these kids aren't actually even the guilty ones in this scenario. It really seems like this has become an entire industry in Syria, or at least in these refugee camps, where to make a few bucks, we're now propping up how ill some of these children are and how destitute some of these families are in order for the middlemen and TikTok as a company to gain a shit ton of profits off of what is a very, very depressing situation. So, to one looking carefully into this scenario, if you actually look very quick, so one of the things that we found were a BBC actual investigation. They actually went down to look into some of these Syrian camps as well. So for instance, according to the BBC, who gave $106 worth of gifts or tips or super chats, whatever you may believe, $33 was actually remaining when it was taken away from TikTok's massive share. Now, of course, beyond that massive share being taken away, you had somewhere around 10% taken away from the local money transfer shop. So, for instance, when US dollars get sent over to Syria, they have to convert the USD into their applicable currency or whatever currency they need in order to actually buy the things they have to, like food or whatever. That gets taken away. And then, of course, you've also got the middlemen agencies, who are one of the real scumbags provided. So what these people are effectively live streaming guilds. Okay, if you haven't heard of what a live streaming guild is, there's a pretty good research article about the Jibo Gonghui, which is actually China's version of live streaming guilds, where you actually have people who are complete manipulation experts. And what they effectively are algorithmic experts in the scenario. So they actually understand how they can optimize a live streamer's performance according to algorithmic parameters that platforms end up revealing. So basically SEO people on crack cocaine. These people are able to actually look into the algorithm, how it works, how various factors feed into the delivery of your content to various individuals. So what these people do is they find destitute families, they basically provide them cell phones, a TikTok account, the various things to get going, and they charge a small fee, all right, or in this case, a substantially larger fee than what it appears that the money transfer areas do, because they rent out the phones and services, and the family, out of that $106 initially, only ends up getting somewhere around $19.31 in order to feed off. And that's with the generosity of the BBC investigators in the situation. In reality, they're getting far less than $19. In fact, in some cases, I've seen that they're getting far less than $10 for this scenario. So the real people, it seems, that are profiting off of this appears to be TikTok, with charging a cut, which is standard for any massive platform. YouTube will do it with super chats, Twitch will do it with their bit system, but TikTok will take a percentage, and then of course you've also got these organizations who claim, by the way, to be working with TikTok. Hamid says he uses TikTok to help families make a living. He pays them most of the profits minus his running costs. Like the other middlemen, Hamid says he was supported by live agencies in China who work directly with TikTok. Again, like I was telling you, the live streaming guilds. They help us if we have any problems with the app. They unlock blocked accounts, we give them the name of the page, the profile picture, and they open the account. Agencies like this, known as live streaming guilds, are based all around the world, are contracted by TikTok to help content producers produce more appealing live streams. TikTok pays them a commission according to the duration of live streams and the value of the gifts received, as these agencies had told the BBC. Now, if this is the case, and of course TikTok is deeply committed to minor safety, this content directly goes against whatever is allowed on their platform. Now, I have to stress for the record, a lot of these platforms, a lot of these live streams do get taken down after a certain amount of reports. But the fact that we are even letting this go on when TikTok clearly can combat this in a much better way is questionable. TikTok writes, "We are deeply committed to protecting the safety of minors on our platform. TikTok defines the minor as any person under the age of 18. We prohibit activities that perpetuate the abuse, harm, endangerment, or exploitation of minors on TikTok. Any content, including animation or digitally created or manipulated media, that depicts abuse or exploitation, forget about it. You literally just said exploitation of minors, right? How is this not the actual exploitation of children who are just sort of propped up as actual literal props with IV drips that allegedly are probably in them or not? I'm going to wager that they aren't, are used to gate and solicit gifts and donations from people around the world who don't really know any better. Now, this is why I believe this is actually the definition of a scam, all right? You've literally got marketing agencies who find bereaved families and pimp them out internationally, all over the world, so they can harvest a few pity bucks off of them. And the family, who can draw in hundreds of dollars sometimes, is getting maybe, and I mean maybe, somewhere around 18% of that if they are actually lucky. It's a wild, wild world we live in, but it's unfortunately a grim reality of what I've been seeing. Now, I've been seeing this kind of float under the radar. I haven't really seen a lot of people talk about it, but for me, it was a baffling thing to witness. This might be one of the most evil scams that I've seen exist. You know, we've already got problems with Syria and the fact that they've been in a decade plus long war, but now the people that are bereaved, this is the only option they have to actually make money. It's why I'm not going so hard against those parents who are using their children to scam. It's not entirely even their fault. This is all they have to make money. Unfortunately, it seems as though big social media and a few of these scumbag middlemen, alongside China's live streaming guilds, have found a way to corner the market and create what is, in fact, one of the most depressing commodities on the face of the earth. People think they're giving money to a charitable cause, when in reality, most of this money is just going into the hands and pockets of actual scumbag degenerates. Now, I'm sure these scumbags will say, hey, we're providing an opportunity to the family out there. Yes, you are providing an opportunity at a glorious 80% something markup. It's a truly fucked endeavor to witness, but unfortunately, it is a reality. And thus, ladies and gentlemen, is all I really have to bring up with one of the most evil scams that I've seen floating around on the internet. TikTok is responsible for letting this fester as long as it has. And if it's true, according to these investigations and reports, that they've actually been working with live streaming guilds and middlemen agencies, then everyone here is really complicit in letting this fester. I think at the end of the day, the real question for me was, are these children safe? And as long as these scumbags constantly perpetuate this kind of nonsense, these kids are never going to be safe. These families, these parents are never actually going to be safe either. They're going to be used and just paraded around as tools to generate massive profits for these middlemen agencies and even TikTok. And it's disgusting. If you ever come across stuff like this, do not donate, period. Because the more you donate, the more money you give, the longer these kids are going to be laying there with fake IV drips stuck into their arms. And you know what? If these IV drips are real, if everything is absolutely kosher and 100%, I would love to see the proof surrounding it. But until then, given the actual economics of the situation, it is completely predatory to the family around it. And it is one of the most evil scam rabbit holes that I've ever actually seen. Ladies and gentlemen, this is me, Mudahar, and if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Dislike it if you dislike it. I am